quieter force. A force that doesn't shout, doesn't demand attention, yet often holds the deeper edge. You might think you know the typical hard traits of a high-value man: discipline, confidence, and success. But what if I told you there are 6 hidden talents that many high-value Sigma-type men wield quietly each day? Talents less obvious, less celebrated, yet fundamentally powerful in shaping identity, relationships, and life. These are not the loud victories or the obvious trophies. These are subtle capacities often overlooked because they happen beneath the radar of flash and noise. They are the everyday quiet crafts of a man who has aligned himself with purpose rather than applause. As you listen, imagine a man who walks into a room not to dominate, but to subtly elevate. Imagine his presence, steady, calm, self-possessed. Imagine how he hears more than he speaks and observes more than he reacts. That steady presence comes not from ego, but from these 6 hidden talents we will uncover. As you embrace this, you'll realize being a high-value man isn't just about what you show, it's about what you quietly master. Over the next few minutes, you'll discover each of these talents. Some may feel familiar, others might surprise you. But each one, when nurtured, becomes a quiet superpower, a trait that changes how you engage with the world, how you relate to others, and how you walk your path. This isn't about becoming something you're not. It's about refining what's already there, awakening what's latent, and stepping into a more grounded version of yourself. So as you watch, keep this in mind. You don't need to shout your value. You need to inhabit it. Let's begin. Number 1, deep listening and unspoken awareness. The first hidden talent of a Sigma male is his rare ability to truly listen, not just to the words people say, but to what lingers between them. This isn't mere quietness or passivity. It's an art form rooted in awareness and emotional intelligence. A Sigma doesn't rush to fill the silence or compete for attention. Instead, he tunes into the tone, the pauses, and the subtle shifts in body language that most overlook. Psychologists call this active listening. But for the Sigma, it's something deeper, a way of reading the unseen energy in a room. Research in communication studies shows that over 70% of human communication is nonverbal, meaning what's left unsaid often carries more truth than words themselves. The Sigma instinctively grasps this. He notices when someone's smile doesn't reach their eyes, or when enthusiasm hides uncertainty. In relationships, this gives him an almost intuitive edge. He can sense when a partner is withdrawing emotionally or when a friend is struggling, even before they say a word. In business, this translates into strategic power. He can detect hesitation in a deal, the flicker of doubt in a colleague's voice, or the subtle enthusiasm that signals a hidden opportunity. Because he listens beyond sound, he often responds not to what people say, but to what they mean. This level of perception earns him trust and respect. People feel seen, not judged, and in a world where everyone wants to be heard, that makes him magnetic. But what makes his listening so powerful is not only the accuracy, it's the calm restraint behind it. The Sigma doesn't react impulsively. He lets information breathe, allowing emotions to settle before forming his response. This self-control, supported by psychological research on mindfulness and emotional regulation, allows him to make decisions with clarity rather than ego. In daily life, this shows up in small, almost invisible ways. Catching the unspoken tension in a friend's voice, sensing an argument before it begins, or perceiving when to speak and when to stay silent. The world often mistakes his quietness for detachment, but in truth, it's deep observation. He listens like a mirror, reflecting without distortion, absorbing without judgment. That's why people confide in him, why his advice carries weight, and why his presence often brings peace. He doesn't dominate conversations, he honors them. And in doing so, he masters one of humanity's rarest and most powerful forms of intelligence, the ability to hear the unspoken. Hidden talent, number 2, mastery of solitude, is one of the most misunderstood yet powerful traits of the Sigma male. In a world where constant noise, notifications, and social validation dominate attention, the ability to be alone and genuinely thrive in it is rare. The Sigma male doesn't retreat into solitude because he dislikes people. He retreats because he understands that silence is where his mind recharges, refocuses, and realigns. Psychology backs this up. Studies show that intentional solitude, not isolation, increases creativity, emotional regulation, and self-awareness. When the brain is free from social stimulation, the default mode network activates, allowing deeper reflection and problem solving. This is why so many breakthroughs, ideas, and personal revelations happen during quiet walks, solo drives, or time spent in nature. For the Sigma, solitude is not a void, it's a sanctuary. It's where his energy resets and his thoughts sharpen into purpose. Unlike those who seek external validation to feel secure, he draws confidence from the internal world he's cultivated through stillness. His alone time might include a morning ritual of mindful breathing, journaling, or simply sitting in silence with a cup of coffee before the chaos of the day begins. These quiet routines become his armor, strengthening his emotional resilience and maintaining clarity in a noisy world. Neuroscience even supports this. Solitude enhances the brain's capacity to form strong neural pathways linked to introspection and empathy, which is why Sigma males often carry a grounded, calm aura that influences others without words. People sense it, the composure, the steady energy, the absence of desperation to impress, and it commands quiet respect. After a long day of interaction, the Sigma male doesn't need to escape to loud environments or constant chatter. He finds renewal in silence. This rhythm of engagement and withdrawal creates balance, allowing him to bring focus and calm authority into every meeting, every conversation, and every decision. He is not lonely, he is recharging. His solitude is his power plant, generating the peace and mental clarity that others mistake for mystery. In truth, it's discipline, the deliberate choice to value stillness as much as action. The mastery of solitude is the Sigma male's hidden engine, the quiet force that makes his presence magnetic, his mind sharp, and his energy unshakable in a world that never stops talking. Number 3, boundary intuition and silent protection. Instinctive boundary setting is one of the rarest, yet most powerful talents a high-value man possesses. It isn't about raising his voice, building walls, or enforcing dominance. It's about moving through life with quiet authority and deep self-respect. This ability stems from emotional intelligence and self-awareness. Psychologically, people who understand their emotions and values tend to have stronger personal boundaries because they know what aligns with their well-being and what doesn't. A high-value man doesn't seek control. Instead, he maintains clarity. He can read the energy of a room, feel the shift in someone's tone, or notice subtle signs of manipulation before they escalate. It's not paranoia. It's perception sharpened through experience. Studies in behavioral psychology reveal that individuals who maintain strong internal boundaries are less likely to suffer from chronic stress or burnout, as they conserve emotional energy rather than dispersing it into draining dynamics. This instinctive boundary setting extends to every area of life. In relationships, he doesn't chase validation or lose himself trying to please others. When something feels off, he withdraws, not to punish, but to protect his peace. He understands that silence can communicate what words cannot. At work, he stands firm without confrontation, calmly declining tasks or expectations that compromise his values or time. This quiet firmness earns him respect, not resentment. People may not always understand his boundaries, but they sense his integrity. That energy alone filters out those who would exploit his kindness and attracts those who value his strength. Spiritually and psychologically, this self-respect signals balance between the masculine and the mindful. A man who sets boundaries from ego does so out of fear. A man who sets them instinctively does so from wisdom. His restraint shows power under control, a trait admired by philosophers since the time of Stoicism. Marcus Aurelius once wrote that true strength lies in governing oneself, not others. The high-value man embodies this effortlessly. His no carries weight because it's rooted in understanding, not arrogance. Over time, his boundaries shape how others treat him, creating a natural aura of respect. People feel his grounded presence and realize they cannot cross lines that he doesn't need to announce. In a world that rewards noise and submission, the man who protects his peace quietly stands out. He doesn't demand space. He commands it by existing with intention. His instincts become his compass, guiding him to act, speak, and withdraw at the right moments. That's the essence of high-value masculinity. Knowing your line and never needing permission to draw it. The fourth hidden talent of a Sigma male lies in his ability to make decisions rooted in values rather than impulses. In a world where instant gratification often dictates choices, the Sigma male stands apart. His compass isn't driven by applause, trends, or temporary excitement, but by conviction and purpose. While many men chase short-term wins, whether through fleeting pleasures or the constant need for validation, the Sigma quietly measures his steps against his core beliefs. He asks himself questions few others pause to consider. Does this align with who I am? Will this choice strengthen the man I'm becoming? This habit is not just philosophical, it's deeply psychological. Studies in behavioral psychology reveal that value-based decision-making leads to higher life satisfaction and emotional stability. People who act from their principles rather than impulses tend to experience less internal conflict because their choices reflect authenticity instead of reaction. For the Sigma, this shows up in practical, grounded ways, choosing a career that fulfills rather than merely pays, refusing social circles that drain his spirit, or investing hours in reading, fitness, or creative work instead of temporary distractions. Each decision becomes a declaration of self-respect and direction. Over time, this discipline sharpens his intuition. He learns to sense when something doesn't resonate with his path, even if it looks good on paper. In neuroscience, this ties closely to the prefrontal cortex, the brain's decision-making hub, which becomes stronger the more one practices conscious self-control. The Sigma's restraint, therefore, isn't suppression, it's strength trained through awareness. And the reward? Less regret, less drifting, and more alignment between the man he is within and the life he builds without. His world moves slower, but it moves deliberately. The result is a life that feels whole, free from the chaos of chasing what fades and full of peace from choosing what lasts. Number 5, empathic strength. Empathic strength is one of the most misunderstood yet powerful traits a Sigma male possesses. While many associate his independence with emotional detachment, the truth is quite the opposite. A true high-value man does not avoid emotions. He understands them deeply, but refuses to let them control him. This is the essence of emotional intelligence, the ability to recognize, understand, and manage both one's own emotions and the emotions of others. According to psychologist Daniel Goleman, emotional intelligence is a key predictor of success and leadership, often outweighing IQ. Sigma males, in their quiet nature, have mastered this balance. They observe the world around them with a deep sense of awareness, picking up on subtle emotional cues that most people overlook. They can sense when someone is struggling, but they don't rush in to fix or absorb that pain. They simply hold space, offering calm presence and understanding. This ability to empathize without being consumed is what makes their compassion so rare and powerful. In relationships, this empathic strength translates into stability. While others might react impulsively to conflict, the Sigma remains composed. He listens, processes, and responds with clarity rather than chaos. His empathy is rooted in perspective, not pity. He understands that every emotion carries a message, and instead of judging or dismissing it, he allows it to unfold naturally. This form of mature empathy is what psychologists refer to as cognitive empathy, the ability to understand another's perspective without necessarily mirroring their emotional state. It's a skill that allows him to connect deeply while maintaining his independence. In the workplace or leadership roles, this quiet compassion becomes his hidden advantage. Instead of motivating through fear or authority, he inspires through understanding. People follow him because they feel seen, not dominated. He listens more than he speaks, and when he does speak, his words carry weight. This ability to blend strength with sensitivity allows him to navigate both logic and emotion seamlessly, a combination that defines great leaders, mentors, and innovators. True strength, as the Sigma male embodies, is not in the absence of feeling, but in the mastery of it. He knows that being emotionally aware doesn't make him weak. It makes him wise. In a world that often confuses loudness with power, the Sigma's empathy speaks in silence, proving that real strength often whispers rather than shouts. The sixth hidden talent of a Sigma male lies in his remarkable ability to see long rather than fast. While the world around him chases instant gratification, quick money, quick validation, and quick results, the Sigma operates on a different wavelength. He doesn't measure success in days or weeks, but in decades. His mind is wired to think in terms of seasons and cycles rather than immediate rewards. This long-term orientation is not just philosophical, it's deeply psychological. Research in behavioral economics, particularly the marshmallow experiment by Walter Mischel, found that individuals who could delay gratification, who could wait for a greater future reward rather than settle for an immediate one, tended to perform better in life, career, and relationships. The Sigma embodies this principle naturally. He invests in slow-growing yet powerful foundations, building discipline in his habits, nurturing meaningful relationships instead of shallow ones, and expanding his mind through constant learning. These investments might not yield visible results today, but they create compounding effects over time, just like a seed that grows silently underground before breaking the surface. In a world addicted to speed, the Sigma's slow, deliberate approach becomes his superpower. He doesn't get caught in the chaos of hustle culture or the comparison trap of social media. Instead, he plays the long game. He understands that true success is not built through bursts of motivation, but through consistent, patient progress. Think of great innovators, philosophers, and builders. Many of them shared this Sigma-like trait. Leonardo da Vinci took years to perfect his inventions. Warren Buffett built his fortune by thinking in decades, not days. Similarly, the Sigma male knows that his health, mindset, and spiritual depth are marathons, not sprints. He builds systems that serve him for life rather than quick fixes that fade. This vision gives him a quiet confidence and calm resilience. When others panic or feel left behind, he remains grounded, trusting the process. He knows that life's real rewards come to those who can wait, adapt, and persevere. His patience isn't passive, it's strategic. By refusing to be rushed by external urgency, he maintains control over his destiny. Every step he takes, though slow, is deliberate and calculated towards something enduring. The Sigma's long view allows him to leave behind something more than achievements. It allows him to leave a legacy. In the end, he's not just living for the moment. He's building something that time itself will respect. There you have it, 6 hidden talents all Sigma-type high-value men often possess. Deep listening, regenerative solitude, boundary intuition, value-driven decisions, empathic strength, and long-term horizon vision. These traits aren't loud or attention-seeking. They're the foundations of self-mastery. Deep listening allows Sigmas to truly understand others without ego interference. Regenerative solitude fuels clarity, while boundary intuition helps them sense when to protect their energy. Their value-driven decisions keep them aligned with purpose, not popularity. Empathic strength lets them connect deeply without losing themselves, and long-term vision gives them patience when others chase instant gratification. Psychologists call this a self-determined mindset, where fulfillment comes from internal growth rather than external validation. When a Sigma cultivates even one of these gifts, he becomes quieter, yet more powerful, anchored, not swayed. True value isn't found in noise, but in mastery. If this spoke to you, subscribe, reflect, act, and own your quiet strength. Having said this, there's a curious pattern among men who live outside the spotlight. For those who don't seek approval, but instead build their value quietly, steadily, they are often called Sigma men. They walk a path that isn't defined by hierarchy, by loud achievement, or by the race for recognition. And yet, many of these men paradoxically find themselves repeatedly drawn into relationships, friendships and connections that drain them, misalign with them, or simply don't reflect the value they carry. Why does this happen? Why does a man who lives with autonomy, purpose, and internal strength still attract the wrong kind of people? Drainers, manipulators, people who don't see his worth, who don't match his level, who are drawn to the idea of him rather than the reality. Today we'll explore this question, not in the boiling heat style of a motivational speech, but in the quiet, calm voice that seeks understanding, because the truth is subtle. The reason you may attract the wrong people isn't always obvious. It's woven into the very traits that make you a high-value, independent man. And once you see the pattern, you can begin to redirect your energy, attract the right people, those who align, those who reflect, those who elevate you, and simultaneously release the ones who just echo back a shadow of who you are, not the light. This isn't about guilt or shame. It's about clarity. It's about noticing the mirror in others and noticing the blueprint in you. It's about stepping into your value so fully that the wrong people naturally fall away, and the right people are drawn in quietly, consistently, organically. So take a breath, drop into presence, and let's begin. You'll hear 6 subtle reasons why Sigma men who walk alone, who build quietly, often attract the wrong company. But more importantly, you'll leave with clarity on how to shift that pattern. Because living with authenticity, strength, and quiet power isn't opposed to attracting strong, aligned people. It actually enables it. Let's dive in. Number 1, you radiate autonomy, which invites those seeking utility rather than connection. When a man removes himself from social hierarchies and chooses to live independently, something profound happens. He becomes an embodiment of quiet strength. His detachment from approval-seeking behavior signals autonomy, and that autonomy radiates an unspoken power. In psychology, this is linked to what's called self-determination theory. People who act from internal motivation rather than external validation project confidence, stability, and authenticity. These traits form the magnetic aura that many associate with Sigma males, the men who walk alone but command respect effortlessly. However, this independence carries an unseen paradox. While it attracts genuine admiration from some, it also lures opportunists who don't necessarily value the man, but the energy that surrounds him. They're drawn to the serenity he built, the control he maintains, and the freedom he owns, not because they want to understand him, but because they want to use what he has cultivated. In social dynamics, this is often called resource attraction. People gravitate toward what they lack. A calm man becomes a magnet for the chaotic. A disciplined man attracts the disoriented. A free man becomes a target for those trapped by their own dependencies. They approach with subtlety, cloaking their intentions behind words like connection or support. But their true goal is access to your peace, your focus, and your emotional steadiness. And because Sigma males often live quietly and without the drama of confrontation, they might overlook these cues. They allow people into their world under the assumption of mutual respect, only to realize later that what's being taken isn't attention or affection, it's energy. The key lies in discernment. Learning to distinguish those who genuinely value your presence from those who merely wish to benefit from it. True alignment happens when someone respects not only your freedom, but also the boundaries that protect it. Autonomy is attractive, but it's also sacred. It's not meant to be shared indiscriminately. When a man understands this, he stops confusing admiration for attachment and kindness for access. He realizes that his solitude isn't emptiness. It's a filter, one that naturally separates those who seek his essence from those who only want his advantages. And in that awareness, his independence evolves from quiet power into conscious mastery. Number 2, your quiet confidence lets you skip the approval-seeking games, so some are unsettled by it. Many men unknowingly build their sense of worth on external validation, on how many likes they get, how many people admire them, or how much status they hold. Society subtly teaches this dependency. From a young age, boys are told to prove themselves through success, appearance, or recognition. Yet when a man steps outside this system, when he stops chasing approval and becomes content within himself, something profound happens. He stops being predictable. He no longer reacts to bait, praise, or competition the way others expect. This kind of inner peace and independence is magnetic, but it can also be deeply unsettling to those still trapped in the validation cycle. Psychology calls this phenomenon social equilibrium disruption. In simple terms, most people rely on predictable social cues to feel secure, flattery, attention-seeking, emotional responses. But when a man doesn't play by those unspoken rules, it breaks the pattern. People around him may feel uneasy because they can't categorize or control him. Some will even test him through subtle provocations, criticism, or manipulation to pull him back into their familiar emotional script. They're not always aware of it, but your calm threatens their comfort zone. Your stillness mirrors their inner chaos. It's like standing in front of a silent mirror that reflects their insecurities instead of their image. This is why, as you evolve and detach from external validation, you might attract the wrong kind of attention, not because you're flawed, but because your energy exposes the truth others aren't ready to face. The good news is, awareness changes everything. When you understand this psychological pattern, you no longer internalize others' reactions as rejection or hostility. You see it as resistance, a natural response to authenticity. Instead of defending yourself, you observe. Instead of explaining, you hold your peace. Over time, those who are aligned with your energy will stay, and those who feed on emotional instability will drift away. That's not loss, it's purification. You're not meant to adjust your calm to fit into someone else's chaos. Real power lies in remaining unshaken, in knowing that your worth doesn't depend on who validates it, but on the quiet confidence you carry when no one's watching. Number 3, you value integrity and truth over convenience, which weeds out many, but draws some who aren't ready. As a Sigma man, your life operates on a quiet code of integrity, one that refuses to settle for anything that doesn't align with truth. You see, while many people chase popularity or validation, you chase inner alignment. You speak what you believe, act where your values guide you, and detach from what feels false. This is the invisible compass that shapes your strength. Yet even with that clarity, a paradox arises. Your empathy and belief in human potential can sometimes make you tolerate the wrong people longer than you should. You see potential in others the way you see discipline in yourself, something that can be developed. But not everyone shares that hunger for growth. Some will echo your words, but not your actions. They'll mirror your ambition, but lack your integrity. Psychologically, this happens because of what researchers call projection bias, the tendency to assume others think and feel as we do. Sigma men, wired for introspection and self-mastery, often assume others are capable of the same depth. The result? You end up carrying people emotionally, mentally, or spiritually, believing they'll rise when in truth they've made peace with comfort. Over time, this dynamic drains your energy and dulls your edge. It's not betrayal, it's misalignment. True clarity for a Sigma man means matching actions to alignment, not just intentions to promises. People who are meant for your path will walk beside you, not ask to be carried. They'll hold themselves to the same internal bar you do, not just admire you for having one. As painful as it may be, letting go of those who no longer meet your standard isn't arrogance, it's maturity. Growth requires discernment, knowing when to pour into someone and when to preserve your peace. Remember, your standard isn't meant to isolate you, it's meant to filter your circle. It protects your mission, your time, and your mind. Because in the end, the Sigma man's path isn't about being surrounded. It's about being surrounded well. Number 4, your solitude is strength, but others may misinterpret it as emotional unavailability. One of the most misunderstood masculine truths is that solitude is not loneliness. It is a sacred state of recalibration. For a man of value, time spent alone is not about escaping the world. It's about recharging from it. In a society that equates constant interaction with emotional health, solitude often gets labeled as antisocial or distant. Yet throughout history, some of the greatest thinkers, leaders, and creators, Marcus Aurelius, Nikola Tesla, Henry David Thoreau, embraced solitude as the furnace where clarity and purpose are forged. Neuroscience even supports this. Studies show that solitude enhances creativity, emotional regulation, and long-term decision-making. By allowing the brain's default mode network to activate an internal system linked to reflection and self-awareness. But here's where it becomes complicated. When a man embraces solitude, it challenges others. Those who fear their own silence may interpret his peace as rejection, his self-containment as emotional unavailability. Some will try to fix him, confusing his independence for brokenness. Others will withdraw, assuming he doesn't need connection at all. Ironically, the man who values solitude isn't rejecting intimacy, he's refining it. He understands that real connection isn't born from dependency, but from wholeness. He doesn't need constant validation or noise to feel alive. He seeks someone who can meet him in his stillness, not fill his silence with insecurity. This distinction between solitude and loneliness defines emotional maturity. It teaches a man to discern between people who resonate with his peace and those who only feel safe in chaos. By recognizing solitude as strength, he creates boundaries, not to keep others out, but to protect the energy that fuels his purpose. In that quiet space, he meets himself, sharpens his direction, and reconnects with his inner compass. The world may call it isolation, but to the masculine soul, it's preparation. True solitude doesn't close the door on love. It ensures that when love arrives, it's chosen, not needed. Number 5, you attract reflections of your internal growth before you attract equals. Growth isn't a straight line, it's more like a spiral, constantly looping upward through lessons, setbacks, and quiet realizations. As you evolve, the older versions of yourself naturally fall away, but some people from those earlier chapters may still linger in your life. The irony is that many of the wrong people are not necessarily bad. They simply mirror who you once were, not who you are becoming. They connected to your previous energy, your old beliefs, your past habits, and the version of you that hadn't yet stepped into higher self-awareness. Psychologically, this is tied to the concept of identity resonance. People are drawn to those whose energy, mindset, and goals mirror their own. When you change internally, that resonance shifts. For Sigma men, this transformation is often invisible to the outside world. Their evolution happens in silence, in late night reflections, in personal discipline, in quiet withdrawals that others mistake for indifference. Outwardly, they might seem unchanged, but their vibration, their energy signature no longer aligns with the same crowd. This misalignment creates subtle friction. conversations feel forced, values feel off, and emotional energy starts leaking into unfulfilling interactions. It's not arrogance, it's energetic mismatch. In psychology, we might call this cognitive incongruence. When your inner self and your outer environment no longer match. The key is acceptance. Growth means acknowledging that not everyone is meant to walk with you into your next season. Some people only matched your earlier frequency, and holding on to them can delay your own expansion. The mature response isn't resentment, it's release. Letting those people step out of your story creates emotional space for those who are aligned with your next level. True evolution requires discernment, the courage to outgrow without guilt, and the faith to believe that those who are meant to meet the evolved version of you will appear when the time is right. Number 6, you value legacy over fleeting interactions, but the wrong people focus on the moment. High-value masculine life is not built on hype, quick wins, or loud validation. It is built on legacy. True masculinity is quiet, deliberate, and deeply rooted in purpose. It is not about how many people notice your success, but about the quality of the impact you leave behind. Historically, men who have shaped the world, whether through leadership, invention, or influence, did so not by seeking applause, but by building foundations that outlived them. Legacy thinking means measuring life not by speed, but by depth, not by attention, but by intention. When a man starts living for legacy, his values shift. He no longer chases fleeting pleasures or shallow recognition. Instead, he invests in his growth, his discipline, and the people around him. This creates an invisible gravity, one that draws in those who share his vision and repels those who live only for the moment. Psychology calls this value alignment, where people naturally resonate with others who reflect their inner compass. Yet this alignment also exposes a paradox. While a purpose-driven man attracts those of similar depth, he also becomes a magnet for the lost, the curious, and the unanchored. The wrong people are not always malicious. They are often just unprepared for the weight of someone who moves with meaning. Shallow souls seek comfort in the surface because the depths reveal too much of what they avoid within themselves. That's why transient relationships, empty admiration, and performative connections often orbit powerful men. They want the light, not the fire. To break this pattern, clarity becomes your shield. When your timeline is explicit, when you live for contribution that endures, growth that transforms, and connections that build, you automatically create boundaries that protect your energy. In this mindset, every relationship becomes a mirror, reflecting whether someone belongs in your future or merely your present. The truth is, legacy-driven men don't chase, they choose. They understand that patience refines character, and that depth takes time. And in a world obsessed with immediacy, that makes you different, rare even. But it's precisely that rarity that makes your presence powerful. Because when you live with legacy in mind, you no longer need to prove your worth. Your consistency, integrity, and quiet discipline speak louder than any noise ever could. If you've noticed this pattern in your life, where strong, independent Sigma men repeatedly find themselves surrounded by the wrong company, it's not a coincidence, nor is it a flaw in your character. It's the result of psychological and energetic dynamics that few people understand. Sigma men naturally carry an aura of mystery and quiet confidence, which draws people in. In social psychology, this phenomenon is known as projection attraction. Others project their unmet needs, insecurities, or admiration onto you. They're not necessarily connecting with you, but with what they see in you. Because Sigma men often value solitude and authenticity. They don't play social games or chase approval. Yet this very independence can attract those who crave validation, control, or emotional grounding. People who subconsciously seek the stability and calm energy that a Sigma radiates. But here's where awareness becomes power. Once you realize that this pattern isn't about failure, but about misalignment, you start to reclaim your energy. Relationships built on mismatched intentions can only sustain themselves through imbalance. One gives too much, the other takes too freely. By stepping into your value consciously, you begin to filter these connections through clarity, not loneliness. Boundaries become not walls, but mirrors, reflecting your self-respect back into the world. You start attracting individuals who resonate with your quiet strength, not those who feed off it. So pause for a moment and ask yourself, which reflection have you been holding up to your life? Do you see people who honor your peace or those who test it? The shift begins within, through self-awareness, emotional intelligence, and consistent self-respect. When you align with your authentic frequency, the right people, those who match your depth, your calm, your purpose, will not only appear, but also remain. Because true alignment doesn't chase, it attracts and sustains. If this message resonates, consider subscribing and turning on notifications for more reflections on masculine growth, inner clarity, and meaningful connection. Walk your path with quiet power, honor your worth. And remember, real strength isn't loud, it's consistent. Stay clear, stay calm, stay true. In a society that glorifies academic degrees and professional titles, the street-smart Sigma male stands as an anomaly, a man who has mastered life through instinct rather than instruction. His intelligence isn't written on a piece of paper. It's etched into the experiences that shaped him. Street smarts, unlike conventional education, rely on emotional intelligence, adaptability, and a keen sense of observation. According to psychologists, this form of intelligence, often called practical intelligence, is crucial for navigating unpredictable environments. The Sigma male doesn't need validation from institutions because his classroom is the world itself. Every success and setback becomes a lesson, every interaction a test of perception. He moves through life with the precision of someone who can read between the lines of human behavior, recognizing motives before they're spoken. This is what makes him versatile. Whether he's negotiating in a boardroom or blending in among strangers on the street, he adapts effortlessly. Sociologists often note that street-smart individuals excel at social calibration. They know when to speak, when to listen, and when silence carries the most power. For the Sigma, silence isn't a lack of words, it's strategy. He thrives on authenticity, valuing truth over image and intuition over intellect. Where others chase recognition, he seeks understanding. He knows that real intelligence is not about memorizing facts, but mastering self-awareness and reading the invisible dynamics that govern human interaction. The street-smart Sigma doesn't fight for control. He flows with it, shaping outcomes subtly and efficiently. His strength lies not in dominance, but in discernment, a quiet mastery that sets him apart from the rest. Number one, he understands people, not just theories. While others analyze human behavior through textbooks, the street-smart Sigma observes it in motion. He doesn't need a psychology degree to understand people. He learns through observation, trial, and instinct. His mind operates like a human radar, constantly scanning subtle details others overlook. Every flicker of the eyes, twitch of the mouth, or shift in tone becomes data. Micro-expressions, the fleeting emotional reactions that pass across a person's face in less than a second, are his unspoken language. These signals, rooted in the research of psychologists like Paul Ekman, can reveal truth even when someone tries to hide it. The Sigma studies them naturally, learning over time which gestures indicate honesty, deceit, attraction, or discomfort. This awareness gives him a rare psychological edge. He doesn't just hear what people say, he feels what they mean. A change in breathing might tell him someone is anxious. A delayed smile might suggest hidden resentment. These are not guesses, they're insights honed through countless real-world interactions. Street smarts at their core are applied psychology, an intuitive understanding of human behavior developed through experience rather than theory. In crowded rooms or tense negotiations, this makes the Sigma almost prophetic. He can sense tension before words ignite it, predict betrayal before it surfaces, and read sincerity before trust is broken. What makes this gift even more powerful is that it's not used for manipulation, it's used for navigation. The Sigma male knows that awareness is protection. While others get caught in emotional traps or deceptive social games, he sidesteps them with precision. He can see the invisible currents of power and intention that flow beneath every conversation. Like a chess master, he plans 3 moves ahead, but without announcing his strategy. His goal isn't to dominate, it's to remain free from influence. This ability to read the room also helps him connect authentically. Because he perceives people beyond their masks, he communicates on a deeper level. He knows when someone's pain is hidden behind laughter, or when a compliment conceals envy. His empathy doesn't make him weak, it makes him wise. In a world where many depend on algorithms and analytics to understand behavior, the street-smart Sigma relies on the oldest technology of all, human intuition. While others study human behavior in books, he lives it in real time, seeing, sensing, and understanding what most will never notice. Number 2, he adapts faster than most men can plan. The Sigma male's adaptability is his silent armor, a trait forged not from comfort, but from survival. In a world that glorifies predictability, he thrives in uncertainty. He doesn't panic when plans change or when the ground shifts beneath his feet. He adjusts, recalibrates, and continues forward. This flexibility is not weakness, it's evolution in motion. Psychologists describe this trait as psychological resilience, the ability to recover quickly from setbacks and maintain balance under pressure. Unlike others who depend on structure and validation, the Sigma male draws strength from independence. He's comfortable walking alone because solitude has taught him clarity. He doesn't need external systems to define him. He's his own compass, whether it's navigating a toxic workplace, dealing with betrayal, or surviving an economic downturn. His instinct is not to complain, but to adapt. This mindset mirrors the principle of Darwinian adaptability. Survival doesn't belong to the strongest or the smartest, but to those most responsive to change. The Sigma male understands this deeply. He's lived it. Life has thrown him curveballs, yet he's learned to bend instead of break. His ability to stay calm amid chaos isn't accidental. It's trained through experience. He's learned that control is an illusion. What truly matters is composure. Neuroscience even supports this. Studies show that flexible thinkers, those who can reframe situations quickly, activate parts of the brain linked to creative problem solving and emotional regulation. This explains why Sigmas often seem detached when others crumble. They're not cold, they're calculating. They know every storm passes, and reacting emotionally only drains the energy needed to adapt. His calm presence in a crisis isn't arrogance, it's awareness. The Sigma male lives by a principle of inner elasticity. He knows rigidity leads to fragility, and the one who insists on controlling every outcome eventually breaks under pressure. Flexibility, on the other hand, allows him to flow around obstacles like water finding its course. It's why he can move between social circles, environments, or even careers without losing his identity. He doesn't resist life. He studies it, aligns with it, and molds his strategy accordingly. That's his secret. He adapts without compromising his core. While others fear change, he sees it as training, each unexpected event sharpening his instincts. For him, adaptability isn't a reaction, it's a way of life, a refined art that turns chaos into opportunity. Number 3, he values resourcefulness over resources. While others rely on tools, titles, or networks, the street-smart Sigma relies on himself. His strength doesn't come from what he owns, but from what he knows. In a world that constantly shifts, where jobs vanish overnight, trends fade, and power structures crumble, his real advantage is adaptability. He's learned to create solutions from nothing, to think on his feet when there's no safety net or backup plan. This isn't luck or coincidence. It's the result of years spent observing people, reading situations, and mastering the subtle art of survival. Street smarts, in psychological terms, blend what experts call practical intelligence with situational awareness. It's the ability to apply knowledge, not just acquire it, to see patterns where others see problems, and to act while others hesitate. Studies in behavioral psychology suggest that people who develop this kind of adaptability tend to perform better under pressure because their confidence comes from experience, not theory. For the Sigma male, this adaptability becomes a quiet armor. He doesn't crumble when plans fail or when life throws unexpected challenges his way. He's trained himself to stay calm, to observe before reacting, and to think independently rather than depending on authority or validation. That independence is rare in a world obsessed with group approval. The Sigma's mind functions like a compass. It may not predict the storm, but it always finds true north. He's the man who knows how to survive without depending on trends, systems, or anyone's permission to succeed. What makes this even more powerful is his psychological resilience. Neuroscientists have shown that when the brain is exposed to repeated stress in manageable doses, what's known as stress inoculation, it learns to adapt faster, becoming more efficient in decision-making and problem-solving. The Sigma male unconsciously lives by this principle. His real-life challenges become his training ground. Every setback becomes data. Every rejection becomes a recalibration. Over time, he builds what most never achieve, a deep, unshakable confidence rooted not in control, but in capability. So while others panic during economic downturns or social shifts, the Sigma stands steady. His foundation isn't external, it's internal. He knows that the world can change, but as long as he remains adaptable, aware, and resourceful, he'll always find a way forward. This is the essence of true self-reliance, not isolation, but mastery. The street-smart Sigma doesn't just survive, he evolves, quietly thriving where others fall apart. Number 4, he reads energy, not just words. A Sigma male possesses an almost supernatural ability to sense tension before conflict begins. not because he's psychic, but because he's perceptive. His awareness is not driven by paranoia or overthinking. It's a finely tuned skill developed from years of observation and solitude. You see, when a man spends long stretches of time alone, he learns to read subtle cues others ignore. The flicker of an eye, a change in tone, a forced laugh. These details speak volumes to him. Research in behavioral psychology supports this notion. People who spend more time in reflective silence tend to heighten their sensitivity to nonverbal communication. The Sigma's silence isn't emptiness, it's data collection. He listens not just to words, but to the energy behind them. In social dynamics, this gives him an edge. He can walk into a room and immediately sense whether harmony or hostility lingers in the air. In negotiations, his intuition acts like radar, detecting insincerity long before it surfaces. In friendships, it warns him when loyalty fades or motives shift. And in romance, it helps him distinguish between genuine affection and emotional manipulation. This sensitivity doesn't make him cold, it makes him selective. He doesn't chase validation or approval because his compass is internal. He knows when energy flows naturally and when it feels forced. Scientists have linked this level of awareness to a form of high emotional intelligence, specifically empathic accuracy, the ability to infer others' thoughts and feelings based on micro-expressions and tone variations. But while most people absorb emotions reactively, the Sigma processes them analytically. He steps back, observes, and decodes. This detachment protects his peace. It's why he rarely finds himself in unnecessary drama. He sees it coming long before others do. His intuition is not some mystical gift. It's a survival mechanism refined through independence. While others rely on external validation to navigate social life, he relies on energy, the unspoken truth beneath every conversation. This is why people find it difficult to lie to a Sigma. They may choose their words carefully, but their energy betrays them. And the Sigma, quietly observing, already knows. His ability to read between the lines shields him from toxicity and draws him toward sincerity. It's not magic. It's mastery of awareness, the kind that only solitude, experience, and authenticity can teach. Number 5, he operates outside the system. Street smarts teach independence in its purest form. It's not about breaking rules, it's about understanding them deeply enough to know when they no longer apply. The street smart man isn't guided by textbooks or theory. His education comes from experience, observation, and instinct. He has learned that the world doesn't wait for anyone to figure things out, so he doesn't wait for validation, approval, or permission. While others hesitate, overanalyzing every move, he adapts. He reads people like open books, sensing hidden motives and recognizing opportunities where most see obstacles. This ability isn't magic, it's emotional intelligence in motion. Psychologists describe this as situational awareness, the skill of reading environments quickly and adjusting one's behavior for optimal outcomes. Street smart individuals thrive because they've trained their minds to think on their feet, trust their intuition, and make decisions without relying on external authority. Independence is more than just the ability to survive alone. It's the freedom to act without fear of being misunderstood or rejected. The street smart man moves efficiently through life because he doesn't waste time seeking validation. He knows that confidence is built through self-reliance, not social approval. In a world addicted to attention, he remains immune to the noise. He doesn't post every achievement or broadcast his plans. He simply executes. This mindset creates an aura of mystery and quiet power that commands respect. Neuroscience shows that when we act with autonomy, our brains release dopamine, the same chemical linked to motivation and reward. In essence, independence fuels itself. The more self-directed a person becomes, the stronger their drive grows. He also understands that opportunities aren't given. They're engineered. While others wait for ideal conditions, the street-smart man knows perfection is a myth. He works with what's in front of him, molding chaos into strategy. Many great innovators, from Steve Jobs to Richard Branson, embodied this principle. They didn't follow paths. They forged them, often without credentials or formal approval. This level of independent thinking makes a man ungovernable, not in a rebellious sense, but in a psychological one. He cannot be easily manipulated, controlled, or confined by social trends. His mind operates beyond systems of conformity. True freedom, after all, is not about having power over others, but mastery over oneself. The street-smart man embodies that mastery, mentally, emotionally, and socially, moving through life with quiet confidence, deliberate action, and unshakable independence. Number 6, he turns hardship into strategy. Pain sharpened his vision. Rejection, failure, and struggle didn't break him. They built him. Every setback became a blueprint for self-mastery, a lesson that taught him how to navigate life's unpredictable terrain with calm precision. He learned early on that pain is not punishment, it's preparation. Psychologists call this process post-traumatic growth, the phenomenon where adversity leads to greater strength, perspective, and purpose. Rather than allowing pain to harden his heart, he used it to refine his awareness. When others drowned in despair, he observed, adapted, and evolved. It's why he rarely fears loss. He's already mastered the art of rebuilding from it. This mindset separates the ordinary from the exceptional. In neuroscience, pain activates the anterior cingulate cortex, the same part of the brain that processes focus and decision-making. That means, quite literally, struggle can rewire your brain for higher awareness and mental clarity if you choose to endure consciously. For him, every failure was a recalibration, every rejection a redirection. While others sought comfort, he sought understanding. He didn't escape his wounds. He studied them until they revealed wisdom. Like tempered steel, his resilience was forged through heat, pressure, and persistence. In ancient philosophy, Stoics such as Marcus Aurelius and Seneca believed that hardship is the path to virtue. Aurelius wrote that the impediment to action advances action. What stands in the way becomes the way. This man lived by that principle without even naming it. When people left him, he learned self-reliance. When dreams crumbled, he learned patience. When uncertainty surrounded him, he built peace within. He discovered that loss doesn't erase your worth, it reveals it. He doesn't crave validation because he knows that mastery doesn't come from applause. It comes from endurance. Through pain, he gained emotional intelligence, self-discipline, and spiritual depth. He became the type of man who no longer reacts impulsively, but responds with wisdom. Pain taught him not only how to survive storms, but also how to find meaning in them. He now moves through life with a quiet confidence, understanding that everything that once hurt him was actually sculpting him into someone unshakable. The world calls it toughness. He calls it transformation. And when you've rebuilt yourself from the ruins, you stop fearing destruction because you finally realize the power to rebuild was never taken from you. It was born within you. The street-smart Sigma male doesn't seek the spotlight because he understands that true power doesn't need to announce itself. His brilliance lies in his ability to move quietly, observe deeply, and think strategically before acting. This calm precision comes from a strong sense of self-awareness. He knows who he is, what he wants, and what he refuses to become. Instead of trying to control others, he masters control over his own emotions, impulses, and reactions. Psychology calls this emotional intelligence, the ability to stay grounded while the world reacts in chaos. And that's what sets him apart. While others chase validation, he studies behavior, reads situations, and adapts with grace. He's the man who plays the long game, using patience and insight as his tools. In a noisy world obsessed with attention, his silence is his strength, and his self-mastery becomes the ultimate advantage.